So, shalom again. We have a guest. We have a special guest, a new player in the game. This is my son, Tzur, my oldest son. And we finished the previous webcast by saying that the children are the most important thing during the night of the Seder, the night of Pesach, because we need to tell them the story. We need to make them to be part of the story. They are really the most central thing around the table. And so we want to sing something, and that's why we brought Tzur to sing with us. And I'm very excited personally to do that because I just hearing him sing, it's one of my favorite things. And he was kind enough to agree to do this, and it's quite late here in Israel now.
Yes,
and he stayed wide awake to do it with us. So toda, thank you, toda Tzur, for being willing to do this with us.
We need to just remind you of the words because we sang this as just a melody before, and remember Gil was explaining that in every generation in every generation there have been those who've tried to destroy us, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God, he rescues us, and it's just such a testimony to the faithfulness of God to his people. So, beautiful song by Yonatan Razel, who is maybe my favorite Israeli musician.
לאבותינו ולנו, שלא אחד בלבד עמד עלינו לכלותנו, עמד עלינו לכלותנו, והיא שעמדה לאבותינו, והיא שעמדה לאבותינו ולנו, שלא אחד בלבד עמד עלינו לכלותנו, עמד עלינו לכלותנו, והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו, מצילנו מידם, והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו, מצילנו מידם. והיא שעמדה לאבותינו, והיא שעמדה לאבותינו ולנו, שלא אחד בלבד עמד עלינו לכלותנו, עמד עלינו לכלותנו, והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו, מצילנו מידם, והקדוש ברוך הוא
So here we are, last webcast. That was awesome, having to sing with us. How was it for Dan?
I'm so, because he doesn't sing much around us. His music, his singing is very much for himself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very proud.
Aww.
Very proud, and I don't get the chance to hear him that
Yes,
much.
yes.
And
That was very moving.
I was more listening to him than singing or doing
Yeah,
anything,
I
or
know.
listening to the guitar or anything. I was just like, come on, sing it to my ears. Okay, this webcast is all about redemption. Redemption.
I get thinking therefore the redeemed of the Lord shall return and come with singing unto Zion, and everlasting joy will be upon their heads.
Amen.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. We have a tune that we sing to that, but it's what a promise. Has it happened already?
It's happening.
It's happening.
It's happening all the time. It's been happening for about 2,000 years now, and I would like to ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
How could it be that after this enormous redemption that the Jewish people has experienced in Egypt, everything that has happened, okay, miracles, 10 plagues, Pharaoh is sending them out, the tear of the Red Sea,
I think I know where you're
what
going.
happened? If we look back in Exodus, what happens right after they crossed the Red Sea?
The golden calf.
Even before that, golden calf was after Mount Sinai. It was 40
Right,
days. It was 40 days and 40 nights after Mount Sinai. But what happened? Let's say Mount Sinai event is basically like the second chapter, right? It's the second chapter of the whole story.
Okay.
Just basically going out of Egypt was it's a process which was completed when they crossed the Red Sea, and then Pharaoh and his armies and all that
They start grumbling, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
And what did they say? We remember
when we had all the meat and the this and the that.
And the watermelons and the zucchinis and the onions, All of a sudden, Egypt looks fantastic.
Wow.
And this is right after the tear of the Red Sea. It's right after in the verses. Go check the verses. Check what happens right after. And you sit there in synagogue on that weekly Torah portion, and we read it, and you kind of go, you want to do this to your hair or whatever we have left. But it's like, how could it be? How could they have been so ungrateful? They saw the biggest miracles ever. Water standing, for them. Walls from the right and left. The hand of God took them out.
Because we always fall back to the familiar, don't we? We always fall back to even because what they come into, they have no clue. They don't know where it's going. They don't know what's going to happen down the road. So I think if I look at that with my own life, sometimes I'll stay in one place even though I have a feeling I shouldn't be there, because I'm not quite sure what the next place really looks like. And what does it look like to go on with God, to could go the next part of the journey? It's an unknown. And so therefore we start hankering after what we had before, even though it really wasn't that great. Or not good at all.
And also, you've just experienced God's hand.
Yes, you can talk about this hand.
You're facing the first challenge of, let's say, lack of food, for example. And instead of looking up and say, we're hungry, can you please provide? They complain and they say, why did you take us out? We don't need that. We don't need all of that. We were good. It was good the way it was good before. Why did you have to change it? how could that be? How is it? I don't know. How could that be? And every time it's the same question, and the answer is that the redemption from Egypt was a specific one for that generation. It was a redemption. It was a sudden redemption. They were so deep in the mud, spiritually, physically. They were so deep down there, and God just he reached out his hand and he just pulled them out as strong as he can. And but it was all very, very sudden. Their hearts were not cleansed before. They were not ready. They were not vessels to maintain the light they were given. They were not. Fact. It's a fact. I mean, right after everything has happened, they complained and they betrayed, and they like 40 years in the desert, and like they were never so grateful for what was given to them. So that redemption was sudden. It didn't come to serve the purpose of cleansing their hearts. It didn't come to serve the purpose of let's say build a long an everlasting covenant with the beloved bride.
Well, it's not like they'd been sitting in Egypt studying Torah, because the Torah hadn't been given, so they had nothing to go on. They just had their leaders, and they probably went days or without really any contact or reminder that there are people called.
There was no preparation.
Right.
There was no preparation for what was coming. And that's why, as big as it was and as miraculous as it was, that redemption, it didn't last. And the truth is that it wasn't supposed to last. Because if it were supposed to last, then God would make it last. It didn't supposed to last. Okay, it was supposed to serve a different type of purpose. It was supposed to shock them. It was supposed to snap them out, like to wake them up. There is a God. He's here. Now, at least when they complained about him. Remember what we said the first one, right? You can be with him, you can be without him, but you can be with him, you can be against him, but you cannot be without him. They were without him for 210 years. But at least they had someone to blame. They acknowledged the fact that there was someone. That was the purpose of that redemption. Just to make them and to make the world know God is in business. Okay? I mean, he's acting, he's here, he's working. There is a God. There is a God. And it was all for that. It was all for that.
Right.
Now, having said that, what does it mean about future redemption? Because we have two types of redemptions. We talk about Egypt's redemption, and we talk about future redemption to come. So, and the things in common and the different things between them. And the main difference between them is that the redemption from Egypt it wasn't meant to last. It was meant to wake them up, but the redemption to come is going to last. And it's going to last because we are in a gradual redemption. Every day we are redeemed a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more for 2,000 years now. Okay, a little bit more every day. We're taking one step further. Do you think that back in the days after coming out of Egypt, do you think after everything they've seen, do you think they could take the simplest thing and say, wow, I mean, this is a miraculous thing? The simplest thing, this is a miraculous thing. How did God make this? How did he create this desert? Where did all this sand come from? How can How can a few pieces of sand stop the entire ocean when nothing else can do that? Do you think they could? Do you think they could think like that? They couldn't. We can. We have the ability today to see more of God, to see more of His characteristics, to explore Him, to be in a relationship with Him, to be in an intimate relationship with Him, to be with Him, united.
Mm-hmm.
We have that ability today in our generation because we are in a gradual process of redemption. We are giving redemption in a gradual process, and our hearts are cleansed with this process as this process goes along. And that kind of redemption, when we finally finish, when we accomplish that task, when we finish this, when we get to the end of that process, that's going to be the beginning of a new era. The beginning of a new era with a closer God than ever. But now every day He comes closer and closer and closer. So we are getting to know Him better. So we're becoming used to Him more and more. It's not like something which is forced upon us, and He's taking His hand and He's basically pulling us up, from the depths or whatever. That's not the case with us. We learn how to get to know Him every day a bit more and a bit more and a bit more, so that in the end the matrimony is completed.
Wow, great image. As you're saying all of that, and I'm just thinking how much I've appreciated over these last few years of being able to share together and to be able to explore together, like the God that we love so much, and that somehow being introduced to a new way of exploring, of reading the scriptures, of thinking about things is a really, it's a wonderful thing. And I suppose that's one of the reasons we're doing what we're doing, because I'm so excited about this. I want everyone to be excited about it. It's, because I really believe we have so much to give to one another, and there are things always when you're talking about things. There are things always that trigger a thought in my mind of something I've read, or something that Yeshua said, or something that Paul said, and then I kind of go, well, that makes sense. Now that makes better sense to me, and it's just such a richness if we're not always trying to interpret everything through our own grid. If we could sometimes come out of our grid and just see the other bit, as it is, stop filtering it, just see it as it is, experience it as it is, and take it in, and then you can kind of put all the bits together, and I really love what that brings.
It takes a lot of God to do that. It takes a lot of humility to do that, to understand that, we are, all of us, we are vessels. We want to be instruments. We want you do as you wish, and I'm here willing to be an instrument of your peace. I think that's the only thing that can allow us to really do that, to really walk alongside, without judgments and things like that. So God is big enough, He can take care of everything. He can settle all the differences. Yeah. We don't have to worry about that so much.
And you're talking about this era that's coming. You're talking about the coming of the Mashiach. Talking about the Messianic era. It's something that we've definitely very much have discovered that this is such a central.
You're saying, you're reminding me, when we, the last week in March, and we were standing there in the old city overlooking Temple Mount, and we were worshipping with the group, And then, people were standing around us and like filming and I don't know, as if there was something so special there.
There was definitely something special.
No, something special there for sure. Yeah, so a lady approached us to the group and she said, I think people looked at us and they
couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, they saw me.
You're playing the guitar. You're clearly leading the group. And you have a kippah on your head. And clearly
the group was not Jewish.
Yeah.
I think people were a bit confused. So one of the ladies who passed by, she came to us and another guy from the group was standing next to me, and she said to us, "Are you Messianics?" And we were kind of like looking at each other.
Like, what's going to say now?
Yeah, and then I told her, "Well, yes. In a way, I mean, why not? What does it mean to be a Messianic? To believe in the coming of the Mashiach? Yes, I believe in the coming of the Mashiach." So we were like, "Are you Messianics?" And even though I know what she meant, but we were looking at each other.
I think you were in such a place of excitement. You'd come up from the wall. You were literally on fire. So it was amazing. Very, very special. Gosh, we had so many special times on that Now Week.
Yes, definitely.
Really, really. And
that was the best day for me.
That was the best day?
That was my best day. It was basically the last day during the week, because then we had Shabbat, but it was definitely
But that moment in Shiloh too, that for me was just an amazing time. So, oh well. I can't believe we have to wait until end of October, November before the next Now Week.
Mm-hmm.
It's
a good opportunity to say that our next Now Week is going to be right at the end of October. The first day of the week is October the 30th.
Yeah. And
then we're basically hitting the first week of November.
Yeah, till the 6th.
All the details are on Ruth's website, and we keep putting stuff on Facebook.
Yeah, forgive me, all my Facebook friends, but you see it a lot, I know, but I just don't want you to forget,
Okay, so we're basically having the registration until the summer, until July this summer. Mm-hmm. And we're actually going to England in 2 weeks.
Yes, this is so exciting.
We're going to England to get together in 2 weeks to talk to some
hope we'll see some of you there. We'll be up. We'll be in Manchester. We'll be in Norwich. We'll be in Southall, Whitney, and Hitchin. So you all know where those places are. Those of you who live in the UK. So we look forward to seeing you there. Come and spend the evening with us. It'd be great.
And we can wish you Pesach kasher v'sameach. A happy kosher Pesach.
Okay. The kosher. We've talked a lot about that today. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So bless you all.
Kosher in spirit and kosher in physical dimension as well. So thank you very much for listening.
See you next month.